Melton's skill set fits in very perfectly with the starting five, with deflections, rebounding, things that we need, defense, and hitting shots as 3-pointers. I did not expect it this year at all. Now I'm going to let Trill go with this one first because he's a Maxey truther on this show right now. So how crazy would it be to see Maxey as a sixth man when he returns with Melton's success? Let's go with scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely nuts, 1 being a no-brainer.
I mean, look, I might be a little bit of a cop-out here. I'll say a 5. I'll say a 5 split down the middle.
That is a cop-out.
Okay, all right. If you want to lean in one direction or the other, I'll go.
You don't have to. Just say how you feel.
All right. Here's why. And maybe, it's tough because obviously, once again, I don't know how certain players feel in the locker room. You know what I mean? I think a lot of this is feel. Starting really doesn't matter that much in my mind, as I care more about who's closing games than who's starting games, especially when you get to the playoffs. But a lot of guys take pride in starting, and a lot of guys...
starting matters.
Yeah, exactly. And starting is... My whole thing is, I think that Melton and Maxey both should be playing starters minutes, regardless of whether they're starting or not. So that's probably more what I'm trying to say here is like, I think Melton is like the 4th or 5th best player on the team. And if that is the case, then he should be playing. We should be getting more creative with lineups, trying to play 3-guard lineups whenever we get the occasion to do that. And then also in addition to that, trying to make sure that Melton's basically almost always on the court when one of Maxey or Harden are off the court. Which is what they were doing earlier in the season. So I guess technically, like, look, if the Sixers were to move Maxey to the bench, I think he would be a great 6th man. But I also think that, like, Maxey probably wants to start. And Rich Paul's his agent, and he probably wants his guy to start. So because they're going to be negotiating for a contract after this season. And if that matters enough to someone, I think that you just kind of leave it as it is. And then you try to figure out ways to be more creative with your lineups so that you can maximize having all of your best players on the court. Last year in Memphis, Melton played the 3 a lot more than you would think. And I think that because he's like 6'3", that sounds insane, but he's a really good rebounder positionally, and his wingspan, he's 6'9" with his wingspan. And that is, it's not going to work in every single matchup there. It wouldn't work against the Celtics. Like, for example, they play bigger when they're healthy, Tatum at the 3, that kind of thing might not work. But there can be certain teams that you might be able to get away with that play a little bit smaller, especially in like the modern NBA, that teams tend to go a little bit more with speed than size. But overall, I would say like probably just keep Maxey in there because I think your best chance to contend and win a title is with Maxey taking that next step and becoming a better player. And maybe even taking a star leap at some point. So you're probably going to want to keep the young guy happy that you have in-house, you drafted him, whatever. And then Melton, I think from everything I understand, I'm sure he wants to start just like every other player wants to start. But he's bought into a role everywhere he's been. He's been a fantastic like locker room guy. Everyone seems to really like him. So I guess it's like if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like the Sixers net rating with Melton in the starting lineup is fantastic, but they're also hitting 50% of their threes. Yeah, so like that's going to regress. No team shoots 50% from 3 the whole season. That will regress into the high 30s, low 40s. And if that's the case, then the net rating won't look as crazy eye popping. But just play your best players. Like that's kind of like be creative, figure out ways to get all these guys involved so that you don't really have to worry about who's starting and closing and stuff like that.
So he's been watching our podcast, right? He's been watching me. He's been listening to what I've been saying.
Did you say that?
No, like I've been a guy all along, and I was saying from even in the preseason, if you want the best version of Maxey, he probably should be a 6 man. Because I feel that it's no way for him to really shine when you have James and Joel in the line.
Sure.
It's just not enough shots. We've gotten on Tobias because of that same situation. Well, I haven't. Teja has.
Well, I think Tobias has been fantastic.
I'm just saying, like, I don't get on, but
yeah.
Teja and his
He's
crew.
A fan.
Man.
Come on.
Yeah, Teja and his crew. So I would say that
more about
I think it makes sense. I think it would ruin the relationship with Maxey, though.
Right.
If he did it. So I don't think you can do it at all. At all.
Now,
so you say 10 would be absolutely nuts, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah, 10.
Basketball though, basketball reasons, one, working with personalities, 10, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that matters though. Because
a lot.
If it matters with the personality, then you are affecting the basketball.
Now, what about, and I thought about this, what about the loophole of this would be he's coming off a pretty big injury. They're like, hey, let's ease you back in. Let's start you off the bench. You get to go out there, spread your wings, and hey, this is going so great.
Yeah, you get a game or two like that.
Yeah.
Man, we're 2-0 since you've been on the bench.
Pretty soon he'll be like, I feel good. I feel good. I need my name called.
Yeah. But it's working so well, Tyrese.
So what I want to say here is that I totally like Eric said, like he was a player, he knows starting matters. Like this is a stature thing, this is a contract thing, and they use it against you when you don't. Exactly.
Don't think they don't.
Exactly. 100%. There's a reason why, I know Melton was younger, but like there's a reason why Melton's on the contract that he was. He's way better than what he makes. Like yes. and that part of the reason is that he was a bench player.
You can be a starter and play 34 minutes a game, and you could be a reserve and play 34 minutes a game and average the same amount of points. You know what they'll do when you go to contracts? They'll compare you versus the starter or compare you versus the reserve. And we all know those salaries are different.
Exactly. Yeah. And
so it does matter.
Yeah, 100% matters. And the thing is that I think that Maxey matters to this franchise due to the fact that without Maxey, they would kind of be a little bit screwed because of the way that the whole Ben Simmons situation went. And, the fact that he kind of fell into their laps at pick 21 and everyone talks about how much they love him all the time. And I think the last thing you want to do is, even if it might make the team a little bit big, it might make the team a little bit better. You don't want to piss off the young guy who's done everything that he possibly can for the team and is just like an all-around good guy and a very good young player too.
And I think that I think Maxey as a person would be like, hey, okay, I'll make it work.
I think you would.
Maxey as a businessman and his associates, there's no way you can be happy with that.
Especially with what Maxey makes on his contract now. Like Maxey is one of the best. He's one of the from a team perspective, he has one of the best contracts in the NBA. So he's going to want to get paid on his next deal, and he should.
Yes. There's no way you do that.
Yeah.
Maxey, he can go in there and be like, man, take somebody else out the line.
Exactly.
Like, that's what his people are going to say.
I will say I have.
Couldn't they compare him to Jordan Poole? Jordan Poole doesn't always start, and he makes a lot of money now.
Jordan Poole wants to start though. I can guarantee you that
he signed knowing that that's what he's doing.
He did, but I can guarantee you if you ask Jordan Poole if he wants to start. Tyler Hero said, I'm a starter in this league, and he became a starter this year. Like, that's just kind of how
Jordan Poole wants to be a starter, but who are you going to start him in front of?
There you go.
Well, behind the greatest player of all time. Yeah, his issue isn't that he's not a starter. It's the fact that he's playing behind Clay and Steph.
Playing behind Hall of Famers and they won the championship with that.
Sure.
Configuration.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying if we got lucky, not lucky enough, but if Maxey spent a month or getting acclimated off the bench at like 20 minutes a game and we're killing it like that, would that be enough for him to be like, man,
there's one thing to get benched for Steph Curry. There's another thing to get benched for DeAnthony Melton. And I love Melton, but he ain't Steph. And Clay.
I'm just saying, if we had KD and, it was like Kyrie or, what I'm saying, and someone beside James, you could get away with that. But he's coming in and saying, no, that's, I lost my position because of injury.
Yeah, and it's too bad. It's you're not really getting benched for Melton. You're getting benched for Melton's skill set that goes better with that 5. But that's unfortunate that it's much more than that, right? I mean, Poole was a weird situation because A, they won like that, and he kind of just fell into that role, and B, they're Hall of Famers. So what the hell are you going to say?
But Poole was also drafted there that spent time in the G League and came up and developed and he developed with that team and he played that role and he's always played that role. But we're talking about it's different if Poole was a starter, then all of a sudden he's playing well and then we take him out and say, hey, you know what? go be a six man. That's what we're asking for Maxey.
That did happen last year.
It is a different situation because Maxey has started.
But didn't they kind of reacclimate Clay slowly and then give him the starting role again eventually?
I don't think Poole was a starter, was he?
Even when Clay was out, he wasn't starting?
I don't think he was.
If I remember correctly. Some, but it wasn't like they were pulling him out of the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And he was still averaging like 31 minutes a game anyway. So it's like he's playing a lot. So I mean, he's scoring a lot and he's playing a lot.
No, you're right. He did start. He started before Clay came back. But once Clay came back, the idea, like he knew that he was going to move to the bench for Clay, and
it was never a question.
His minutes are still the starter's minutes. Like he's playing 30 minutes a game. Like,
but right now, you don't think Poole's better than Clay?
Which I would.
This season, I would say Clay. Last year, Poole, when Clay was coming off the injury, Poole was better. He was better than Clay. But I also think that it's just that's a different story. When they asked Clay, to back up Eric's point, when they asked Clay to come off the bench when he came back from injury, his answer was literally "fuck no." So that's what I'm saying. So like Clay's starting. That's just kind of how it is.
Hey, come on, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, look, guys ain't trying to come on, man.
Clay's like, I've won 3 titles.
It's a totally different thing. Yeah. Like you look at even like Russell Westbrook, it was like, yeah, he's playing well off of it, but it's an adjustment. Like these guys have been starters their whole life.
Yeah.
All these guys have been starters their whole life. DeAnthony Melton's been a starter for 95% of his life, right?
Not in the NBA.
Not in the NBA. That's true.
Second round pick, grinded his way. Like
NBA, yeah.
And look, I think that I'm sure, like Eric said, both of these guys would be okay, smiling, but at behind closed doors, you want to start, and that's kind of how it is.
Now, crazy, just hypothetical. We're down like 0-2. We lost 2 games at home in the playoffs.
Ooh,
we're getting abused defensively because teams are targeting Harden and Maxey every single time down the court.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. Like, do you think they'd be desperate enough? I mean, at that point, Doc's like, man, Maxey, it's either you going to the bench or I get fired in about a week, and I ain't getting fired in a week. So sorry, man. You know what I mean? Like, I at some point, if that becomes a problem defensively, I think he'd be the first man to go to the bench.
We did see this just to kind of the opposite problem, but before Doc Rivers was here, when Robert Covington was really struggling in the Celtics series a few years ago, the Sixers really lacked that secondary ball creation. So they brought TJ McConnell into the starting lineup, and they sent Robert Covington to the bench famously. And then they ended up winning that game, and it was this whole thing and whatever. But I mean, Doc's history suggests the complete opposite. Doc is loyal to his guys. Doc is loyal to his game plan. I don't think he would do that unless it was unless it was literally from the front office. And I don't think the front office would ever want to. I don't think they would want to piss off. Like, I think you have to be so careful when it comes to your guys that could be stars, especially when you're in a market like Philadelphia. Like, we don't get free agents. Like, we just have to treat our guys as good as we possibly can.
Yeah. Maxey's the young guy too, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to go around that without taking the guy out the lineup. You know, minutes.
You let him play like 3 minutes.
Earlier substitutions. Like there's ways around that.
Start Melton at the 3 and move PJ Tucker to the bench.
You can lose guys by making a move because you almost to the people that don't really pay attention like that. You almost saying it's his fault.
Yep.
It's perception's the problem, not the truth. Yes, I do agree with that. Real fast, who do you think they would take out of the starting lineup first, Maxey or Tucker?
Tucker, 100%. Yeah.
I think they would go 3 guards before they took Maxey out the lineup.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I also think that Tucker's come off the bench before, which is like I mean, even on that Bucks team,
PJ's gonna be the same regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And PJ's got his money; he's already locked up for the next 2 years. He's going to retire after that, probably. So,
yeah. All right. Well, let's say food for thought. All right, let's go to the game.
We could just not even have to talk about it if we just win. So
yeah, hey, I'd love that. That'd be
that's the best adjustment you can make. Yeah. Win games.
Yeah. It all goes away. All you need to do is get that W. Even if you lose, Even months from now, people forget that how the Lakers game happened. It's just going to show up as a W later on, so it's not going to matter.
Exactly.